Hello again and welcome back to my craft room. This time it's card number 2 in my Marvellous Mothers Day Makes. Actually, I think I called it Magnificent Mothers Day Makes. But anyway, adjectives aside, Mothers Day Makes for 2020. As I mentioned in my previous video, I'm going to be presenting 4 cards over this Saturday. Hopefully you'll have time to do your versions of them and get them in the mail to your mums, or pop them in their mailbox if you're social distancing or physical distancing. So hopefully you'll like something that you see, and if you were interested in purchasing anything, please let me know. I have my details on my business page, but if you send me a message on Facebook or via YouTube, I'd happy to get in contact. Just checking that my iPad is caught up, and it has, so that's great. This is card number 2, and it features the Timeless Tulips stamp set and the matching punch. And it's really, really nice. It's some more earthy tones. My previous card was pretty bright and bright and wonderful, but this one is a little bit softer. It's got some really cute ribbon and our beautiful bouquet of tulips there, which any mum would love. Okay, so it's basically, let's get started. So the paper that I've used here is it's from the In Colours of 2020-21. It's a terracotta tile, sort of beautiful plaid. So it comes in a pack with all the other In Colours for 2020. So basically I've used that one to highlight the beautiful earthy tones of our tulips. So let's get started. So to make this card, I've already blocked up all my beautiful tulips and their stems and their leaves, and I'm just going to show you the colours that I've used. I have actually stamped and cut a lot of them already, but I'll just show you the colours so you can recreate this one yourself. Okay, so in the set we have a big and beautiful tulip there in all its glory. We have a sort of medium one and a little bud there as well. Plus we have various stems and leaves also. So the big tulip I have stamped in Calypso Coral. So I'll just show you that one. It's a beautiful sort of deep brick colour, almost orange. So that one, oh, now because it is a photopolymer stamp, I do actually bring a foam mat in underneath, or a silicone mat if you've got one. Just helps the stamp make a bit more contact with the paper, and you don't end up with gaps in your ink. So this one, as I mentioned, is Calypso Coral. I'll just pop that on there. So I've stamped and cut 2 of that one. So as you can see, it's a beautiful deep brick red, orangey red. Okay, so that's that one. I'll just clean that off straight away. So as I say, stamp and cut 2 of those. The smaller one, tulip, I have done in terracotta tile, which doesn't want to open for me today. Here we go. So this little smaller one I've done in terracotta tile. There we go. So that's more of a brown than the first one. It's nearly disastrous. And the little tiny bud I've stamped in Grapefruit Grove. So that's a lot brighter, and it lifts the others quite lovely. Okay, so I'll show you those 3 colours, and as I say, I've already stamped and cut these out, so you don't have to sit through that. I just wanted to show you the 3 colours that we've used. So we've got Calypso Coral, terracotta tile and Grapefruit Grove in our little tulips. Then the stems, I've done 4 stems, and I've used Old Olive for that, of course, my favourite colour. You guys should have felt that coming. So the stems, I've done 4 of these, and they are in Old Olive. And I've done various leaves as well, and they are also in Old Olive. I think I've done 4 leaves, and 4 stems. So that's all the stamping that you would need to do. So 2 each of the flowers, 4 stems and 4 leaves, and that's basically the little bouquet that we've made. And as I say, you don't need you guys to sit there and watch me fussy cut, so I have actually done them all already. We've got our 4 stems, various leaves. Oh, I'm missing a flower. Am I missing a flower? Oh, there it is. 2 of the medium flowers, 2 of the small flowers. I'm just going to cut this final tulip here, and that's where I'll bring in the punch, just to show you how wonderful this particular punch is. So I've got my tulip there. Just going to position him under the tulip in the punch, and there you go. Instant fussy cut, instant cut out. You don't even have to worry. And I've got this one leaf here that also the punch will cut out for me. So there we are, much quicker. So if you get the stamp set, I definitely suggest you buy it in the bundle and get the punch as well. Okay, so that's basically my beautiful little bouquet sitting there on its little mat. So I'll just get rid of this ink and stuff. So again, we have, this is what we need for the rest of our card. We have a old olive card base, which is 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches. And I have been trying to give these in centimetres, so I will give it in centimetres as well. Since I'm an Aussie girl, we should be using it. So that's about 21 centimetres by 14.5. And so it's obviously been scored at 10.5. Okay, so that's the standard, or my standard card base. Then I've got a piece, as I mentioned, of the designer series paper in the terracotta tile. So that comes in a pack with all the other in colours. So that's just in a beautiful sort of gingham, cute little gingham sort of look. And that is just basically 1/8 of an inch, or say 1/4 of a centimetre smaller than the card base, just so you get a tiny glimpse of the old olive all the way around. Then I've got a panel of Whisper White for inside, which is again 1/8 of an inch smaller than the card base. And this tiny bit, when you actually cut these 6 by 6 or 15 centimetre square designer series paper, you get sort of a fair bit left over from one card. So I've actually cut another piece just 1 inch wide, 2 1/4 centimetres wide, and the same length as the width of our card. And I'm going to just pop that just down there when we get to it, just to add a little bit of a highlight. I'll bring the colours from the outside of the card into the inside. So I'll do that last when we're finished. But at the moment I might just keep our designer series paper, and I'll pop our beautiful bouquet onto that. I'm just trying to find my original so I can copy it. Okay, so let's just put all that aside for a second and bring in our glue. So I'm going to start with the stems. So I've got 4 stems, as I mentioned, and I'm just going to place those sort of at various heights on the card, but just so they all sort of seem to cross over in a central place, just so that we can decorate that with a ribbon. Just getting them in position for myself more than anything. Everything's always different with card making, isn't it? You can never quite reproduce exactly what you did the first time. So a little bit something like that, just so that our buds and things can come off the edges of them. Okay, so just a tiny bit of glue, doesn't have to be a lot. There we go. we all had a nice Easter. I'm actually recording these videos Easter long weekend, so if I didn't mention it to you beforehand, hope you had a great Easter. Sort of try and work out where to put these. It's slightly different than my original card. Go. So really you're only going to see the bottom part of these because the rest of it will be covered by our tulips, but just wanted them to look a bit random at the bottom there. Okay, so then we can start popping our tulips around. I'm going to start with the medium size one and sort of layer them up. So I'm going to pop the medium size one sort of here towards the top, and then another one down low here. You can basically just, you know, arrange them how you like them. I'm going to pop in one of the smaller ones just up here. Ooh. And I'm going to bring in a big beautiful one and pop that off to the side. So we want to sort of, because this bouquet, if you like to call it, sort of is, we want it to sort of come up this way, sort of take the diagonal, pretty much use the whole diagonal of our card. And I'm going to bring in one of the last remaining small one and pop that up on a dimensional just to give it a little bit of height. Just in there. And our last big beautiful one, I'll put a couple of dimensionals on that. And I'll bring that in up under here. Okay, there we are. So I'm going to bring in some of the leaves as well, and where it looks a little bit clumsy, I'm just going to cover it with a leaf, which is, you know, it's a good lesson in life, really. If you're all in doubt, cover it with a leaf. Bring one up under here. I'll just try and put that under the, if I can. I'll go under, yeah, slightly up under that one. There we are. And just various things, just sort of the way that tulips are, they sort of, the leaves sort of come up and along the stem. From memory, haven't seen them in my mum's garden for a long time to know, but I think that's the way they look. They just sort of come up the length of the stem almost. Put one up in here just to cover that little gap that looks a little bit weird. And one last one. Where will this one go? Do I actually need it at all? Maybe there. Okay. There we go. So that's our bouquet in place. Hope you like that. I think those colours are just so pretty. Okay. So, what's a bouquet without a bow? And I have a bow that you'll be pleased to know that I have already tied. Given that if you've watched me any time before, you know I'm painfully struggle with my bows, but this one turned out quite well. It's actually a double bow, so I've got two lengths of ribbon, two different ribbons, and I've tied them simultaneously, which actually made it even more painful to watch. I've got the white polka dot ribbon, which is that lovely one with the dots, and I've got the new ruche ribbon, the white one, which is sort of an edging ribbon they call it. So I suppose it's just got a lovely sort of curve to it, and it is actually really, really good to colour. I might show you that in a second. Colour it in with blends, and you can make it basically any colour that you want. So if you're making a card in a colour that you don't have a ribbon to match, you basically just can pop this one out, colour it with whatever colour blend or ink that you're using, and voila, you have the perfect ribbon. I'm just trying to find my glue dots, which should be here somewhere. Here they are. And I'm going to pop that with a glue dot onto our card. So just firm it onto the next glue dot. There we go. And I'll just position it sort of where all those stems sort of join. It doesn't really have to be too much, but you don't want to be too low because you don't want it to overrun the edge of your card by too much. But that's sort of sweet there. That's really nice. I'll just show you that ribbon. I'll just grab a pair of scissors. I'll cut a piece and I'll show you how easy it is to colour. Here I've just got that little piece of ribbon there. And I'll bring in, say, my Poppy Parade, which is what I was using in the last video. Just grab your Poppy Parade and run it along there. And because it's so fine and the ink is so spread so well, you basically end up with a piece of Poppy Parade ribbon. See, it's perfect. It sort of takes a little while to dry, so don't go using it straight away, but give it a couple of minutes to dry, and you can use that or that colour in just about anything. So that's a really good ribbon to have if you don't want to have too many lying around waiting. But here I've just used it as white. Okay, so final bit of this card is to take our designer series paper that we've put our bouquet on and attach it to our card base. There we go. And then we'll bring in our sentiment. So the sentiment I have done here. So I've got a little piece of Whisper White cardstock, and from memory that is 2 inches by ½ an inch, or 5 by 1 ish. Okay, and so that there, and I've got a slightly slimmer but slightly longer piece of Old Olive. I'm actually just going to use that tucked up behind there with just half showing, sort of tiny little piece showing, just to highlight our sentiment box a little bit there. I'm going to use the Happy Mother's Day from the Timeless Tulips stamp set, and I'm just going to use it in black ink. I'll just bring that in. Fits pretty much perfectly on that size piece of cardstock. And then I will just glue a tiny bit of glue on the edge of that one so I can position it over this one. Straighten that up a little bit. There we are. And then you could put that on dimensional. I might put that on dimensionals actually. I didn't in the original and it seems to sit a bit flat. So I might just pop that whole thing onto a couple of dimensionals. There we go, just a couple of dimensionals. And down here, just in this little corner here. Just line it up with the paper, makes it even easier with the grids on the paper. Okay, so that's quite pretty. Our ribbon does overlap it a little bit, but hey, every good ribbon does. Okay, inside, as I said, I've just got a panel of Whisper White, which I'm going to glue down. and then bring that patterned paper from the outside to the inside, and using a little bit of my offcuts from when I cut the designer series paper originally, I'm just going to pop that, my glue's about to die on me, pop that just here at the bottom of the white. Just sort of breaks up that whiteness a little bit, and as I say, brings the theme colour from the outside onto the inside. Plenty of space there still for you to write your lovely note to your mum. There we are. Okay, so that is my second card of my Marvellous Mothers Day Makes. If I haven't called the event that, I may have to change it because that's what it is now. So there we are. So there's the original there and the new one. I reckon you could actually spruce them up a little bit with some Wink of Stella if you wanted to just put some on there and give them a bit of a shine, but I think I quite like them the way they are. They're really, really sweet. So that's card number 2. I'll be back fairly shortly with card number 3. I hope you're finding something that you like out of this. Thanks for coming along. As I said, if you see anything in these classes in these videos that you want to purchase, just drop me a line, send me a message on Facebook, or I think I've got my email address here as well. Just let me know and I can help you out with anything you might need to know about Stampin' Up or card making. So thanks very much for joining me. I'll be back with card number 3 fairly shortly.